Why, hello everybody. It is Robbie from Southern California, and I do hope to make this the fastest garden tour ever because there are so many other things I want to get into instead of trying to put together an hour garden tour. So let's kind of do a quick walkthrough because of that chair setup, I'm going to be changing up a few things, and I'm so excited to get it done. I haven't done anything here, but you'll see that when I come back. I do have zucchini and squash in the ground now, and of course some of these containers. I haven't done anything here yet. My potatoes, we're going to start of course on the driveway. My potatoes, they're almost done. See how the leaves are all browning? Well, it's really getting close to harvesting, and I will tell you, I peeked, I stuck my hand in, and I found a little potato. Watermelon, starting to go up on the trellis that I built, and my shoe rack is doing exactly what I wanted. I'll get more into that another time. I'm so excited. The problem was, when it got to the top, it was like, oh, I forgot about that. So we'll see if we can lead it all the way up the wall. That's got an okra in there. I think somebody told me this is cantaloupe, and if it is, that will be so exciting because the seeds are from 1978, I believe. And then, of course, Malabar spinach. Some of the squash is done. It's basically winter squash for storing. This was a hybrid, I believe, and then there is a kabocha in here somewhere, unless we took it off. We did a harvest the other day. We might have taken it off. That's a tomato coming up in the rocks in the driveway, you know, where it's all rock. These are really unique. Look at them. They're orange. So they kind of probably hybridize with my sun golds, and then who knows what other tomato. They taste really good, and it's just an amazing tomato. I don't even know what else to say. It's kind of on a tomato cage, but I can't do much with it because it's all rock, so I can't stick it in the ground. And then, of course, I did try to make here a steak from an aloe vera flower, so we'll see how that goes. Harvested a whole bunch of cucumbers the other day, and I've been trimming the cucumbers, and they look like they're making a comeback, so we'll see. If they don't, I've already started some new seeds in the house. Let's just kind of walk through. You've seen all this, and we've got tons of peppers. Oh, I forgot to show you the peppers. A lot of the peppers are underneath some of my plants. Like here's peppers back here, purple beauties. See back there? And then I've got more here. So I've got peppers throughout here, and peppers is something I really want to get into more. Oh, and my black cobra. Let's walk back one more time, and then we'll walk out of here because Gary's been eating these. I gave some to my son-in-law. He took home a plant because I had two plants. This was the small one. This is the big one. Look how full it is. Isn't that cool? Look at all the flowers. Gary said they're not too bad. So I definitely want to collect some seeds off of that. And then the medium plant, like I said, and some moringa there. He went home with it all excited, all full of flowers. He loves his peppers. All right, so you're seeing what's going on here. This I most likely are going to keep. This I'm going to move. I'm glad I didn't set it up. I have other ideas. I'm going to take that chair and sit it somewhere else. Been starting lettuce and different things on the top of these little nothing planters. But then I've got, you know, really good dill and stuff. But I want to get lettuce growing. Keeps it off the ground from the rabbits, and then I can move them. I have to do a video on that. That's a request by my sister. She didn't know you can move lettuce as easily as I do, the way I do it. And then the carrots are coming up in here, and tomatoes. This is the chair that was at the front door. No, the chair wasn't at the front door, but the container was. And it was looking really sad. It wasn't getting enough sun. So we moved it here, and it's loaded. Just loaded with tomatoes. So that's doing really, really good. Let's go in the front yard. We are now in my front yard. I don't even want to be here. Got zucchini coming up in the back that's just starting. This is a fairly new plant. You probably saw it in the last garden tour. It has taken off. This, by the way, is goldfinch damage from the birds. Look at all the zucchini in there and the flowers. I've had it with the front yard. So I'm hoping, it's my hope, don't know if it'll happen, but let's hope it does, that in 2 weeks on the next garden tour, this won't look like this because I'm done with it. Like that video I did with the chairs, and I said, I'm done. It's too much. This is crazy. It looks good. It looks cute. People walk by, they go look over the fence. They go, oh, I love your garden. Yeah, well, you know what? It's a pain. And so this is going to change hopefully very soon. Literally with a hose like this, it's a cheaper hose. I have to wind all over through the garden, try to water things. It literally takes me here not that long, maybe 5-10 minutes. And I'm so spoiled with my new garden that I can walk in there and get so much done in 5 minutes. And here I'm fighting with the hose to go around this maze. So this is changing. I'm hoping in 2 weeks. You see this all the time. This is just cuttings from the purple sprouting broccoli, and I should move some of it, but that's really nice. It's been there all year, so I can pull those out at any time and move them. This too, I'll take you with me. This is all being pulled out. This tool is very old now. Let me see. And yeah, see, you can tear it. So I want to pull this out. I'll probably toss it. I was going to keep it for covering vegetables, but it's not worth it. I can use better tool to keep any animals or critters off of the vegetables. I'm going to pull that down, and I want to redo the bricks. A little more useful. I don't need kale growing in here, but I am going to leave walking onions, garlic, chives, things like that. It should look really good, and I'm going to use a different color this time. Let's see here. Volunteer tomatoes. Look at this. This tool is old too, but I am leaving this. Look at that. This is cool. It came up, and the stalk on it is amazing. Look at the trunk, how thick it is, which means it's really healthy. There's two. I believe I planted that one as a volunteer. It came up and I stuck it in the back in the pot. But that one came up on its own, and there is a little container in there where I can compost. I probably can't get you in there. See, it's one of those, yeah, you can't get in there. It's a coffee container, and the hole, there's holes on the bottom of the coffee container. See if you can see it that way. Yep. So I can throw leaves and kitchen scraps in that little container, water it, and it will leach into the ground. It really is helping this tomato. So that is really, really good. And then a squash came up. I didn't plant it, came up on its own. Obviously, it's not zucchini. So we'll see what that is. And another tomato in there. Look at that. All these are volunteers. I didn't get to buy any this year. Usually I go to the nursery and I buy tomato plants, but I did not this year. Ginger and turmeric. You know, I still have a couple left in the house. I'm going to have to drag them out. Got a little burned from the sun. Otherwise, all in all, it's doing really good. The turmeric's doing great. This is black turmeric. We go over this all the time too. Look at that. You can tell by the stripe in the leaf. Isn't this gorgeous? My stevia back there. And I brought some, put it on my deck garden. So it's doing really good there. But all in all, this is doing good. We've had like hot weather and then cold weather. Like today, I'm in a t-shirt, heavier t-shirt. It's kind of cool today. It was cool last night. So you never know. This? So what do you see here? What is she talking about? It's a squash. You know what? This is last year's squash. This has been sitting here. Look how nice it's stored. It better not decay on me and go back as Mother Nature would want it, because I see a bird bath there. And I am intending to find the time to make that a bird bath. And we will get into that as soon as I do that. Okay, so we're done with the front yard. My peppermint's doing really good. And I hope next time we come through here that it looks different, because this, boy, I didn't realize how much I can change it to make my life easier. And if I'm going to be doing all this gardening, let's go into this garden. I do want it easier. I want to be able to have more time to enjoy myself in the garden, even if it's just doing crafts and things. Okay, so we're walking in here. This was my poor purple tree color that got attacked by something. So I covered it. And what I ended up doing was I wrapped it with tulle, but now I dropped the tulle over this cage, and whatever critter was bothering it has now left it alone. Got some broccoli down there, and this is so full of squash. Look how excited I am. Oh my goodness, that's a kabocha. I didn't see that. I probably forgot about it. Look, that is a true kabocha. See how green it is? When you bake that up, oh, that's one of Gary's favorites and the dog's. It's like sweeter than a sweet potato. It's real orange inside and tastes so good. That I'm excited about. This, more spaghetti squash down there. It's all through here. We're not big fans of spaghetti squash. There's a little dumpling type thing. It's probably a hybrid, but it could be a sweet dumpling. I thought I saw more. Who knows where they are? Oh yeah, here they are. I'll have to try to do something with that because Gary doesn't like spaghetti squash. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but then he's not big on Italian stuff unless it's pizza. He does like his lasagna when I make it. I don't know. I definitely will have to remember, of course, next year I'll probably do the same thing. I would like to do this differently. That is that big container Gary found. It was a cabinet or something. He found it in the trash, and I've grown all kinds of stuff, including squash like this. Look, there's more spaghetti squash down there. I would rather have had zucchini in here. Fill this up more and have the zucchini flowing over because this wanted to leave. And when it leaves, then I can't get in here. And I was going to trellis it up with this stuff, tomato stakes, and then I thought, no. We'll get what we can out of it, and then I'll clear it out and do something else for the winter. It isn't my favorite thing anyways, and I happen to like zucchini because zucchini is so versatile. You can do anything in the world with zucchini. And I'm trying to get 10 recipes up, quick recipes, easy things to show you what you could do with zucchini, including pickles. Oh my gosh, that's one of our favorite, but there's so many things to do with it. All right, let's keep going. That's the black tool. Is that cool? From a distance, it just disappears into the plants. I've got to clean this off. This is all soil. This is all going to turn into wonderful compost. So the dinosaur kale is doing good. The red vein sorrel is doing good. Walking onions are walking everywhere. Uh-oh. We don't want little carcasses laying around the yard. I'll have to put that in my pocket. I have all these pocket shirts I make. Then I can go back and plant it. Because when they drop, if they don't hit the soil, they die. I've had people say you can store walking onions in the winter like you do onions, little onion sets. Let me give you a hint. You can't store walking onions in the winter. Walking onions, they're designed, I should do a whole video on this, not just here. When they drop down, these little onions, see their little onions? They are designed to grow. So if they don't hit the damp soil, it's too dry there, they'll die. They'll dry up and die. My daughter told me that. My onions are falling. They're going to die. I said, that's right. You know what to do. And she does. So you've got to pick them and get them in pots. And I've got a surprise this winter with those. Okay, let's look here real quick. Doing good. I got walking onions again. They're walking everywhere. I need to clean this all up. I've got a red vein sorrel that had come up from seed back there, doing really good. Lemon verbena, dinosaur kale, garlic, chives, celery that comes up on its own. I don't plant it. More celery. I don't plant it. Comes up on its own. Got some mint back there. I've got mushroom plant, and I do need to propagate that and get more of that growing because there was a mushroom plant in here that died back, and I don't want to lose my mushroom plant. So that is something I will have to work with. And of course, there is more walking onions, and I believe this is, oh, these are baby walking onions. See? I must have went around like the one I just picked. This one that was not picked but fell on the ground, and see how their bulbs are. Pushed it in there, and look how beautiful. Really got to make some totes and containers or buckets of just walking onions. And it doesn't have to be really heavy totes, big thick totes like this tall ones. I can get some shallow totes and get hundreds of walking onions going. I really need to do that. Lemon verbena all through here. There's dragon fruit that's growing here. Not fruit yet, but the plant. It hasn't set flower yet, but I'm sure it will. The lemon verbena, there's 2 plants back there, and they just went wild. Again, there's orange mint all over the ground here. That is the purple sprouting broccoli. Not real thrilled on that because it only produces the purple broccoli on the top, on the heads, in the spring, it seems like, or late fall, winter. It's kind of whenever it does its thing. But the thing is, see, there's a seed head still there. I didn't cut it out yet. It's not a constant producer where some of your sprouting broccoli, and I can't get those seeds anymore, and I'm going crazy tearing my house apart looking for it because I had a little packet left. Those grow all year. I get broccoli all year. But on this, it grows very much like a purple tree collard, and I only get it once a year. So that's why I'm not real thrilled with it. It's still a nice plant. This is one plant that has snaked all over the place onto the ground. I will be very selective on where I put it because I'd rather do purple tree collard, which is back there, than do purple sprouting broccoli. But it's not a waste because I can still make a green powder out of the leaves. I can still cook with it, add it to salads, stir fry, anything you would use greens for, or eggs, anything. You can still add it. I still cook with it, but you're not going to get what you wanted, the purple broccoli, because they only happen, you know, quickly at a certain season, and then the birds eat it if I don't get to it right away. I love my solar fountains. That one hasn't gone on yet. But that one back there, look at the bucket one. I started the video and never finished it. The easiest thing to make, and the birds absolutely love it. Look at that. Full bucket. I don't have to clean it that often. It's running water. It is beautiful. The hummingbirds keep zipping by. Let's see what's over here. Turn around real quick. Kitty's garden. Haven't done anything with it, but we've got celery. We've got something that went in there. Probably a caterpillar ate some of that. Full of celery. Yes, an avocado probably came up from the compost, but I'll get that out of there. Some green Swiss chard, and then these are cuttings of dinosaur kale and different things. So, and then some red Swiss chard, and then I've got just a geranium, and this is the dazzling. Is it? Yes, it's dazzling blue kale. I've got some. This is weeds. Remember, all this just goes back and becomes soil. So that's doing okay, but not, you know, not really what it's supposed to be. Okay, now we've got, well, we're feeding the birds. We've got geraniums through here. I've got some eggplant coming up in here. Aren't those geraniums beautiful? Bought it just before the lockdown. Went to was it Walmart? No, I went to a nursery and it looked really sad. It was in a big pot. And I asked the guy, so he gave it to me for half price, and I've kind of spread it around. It's a very deep red flower. It looks like it's almost done flowering, but just so red. This is my solar panel back there with silk flowers, but it works. Gonna change all those up because I like the new way I make the solar panels much, much nicer. Let me show you. Let me see if we have enough sun. See, my little solar frog is not working. Here's the panel. Now let's see if I can do this where you can see. Look at this. I'm gonna turn them on if all works out. Okay, we don't have enough sun. Nope, sun hasn't come past. Normally I wipe my hand on this and he turns on. That's another way of turning it on. If they're not working, just go and wipe your hand over it and it will work. We just don't have enough sun yet. It's still really early in the morning. Okay, I had planted this up and this is doing good. So I've got that tomato, that Goliath tomato, which is right here that my daughter gave me. And then I've got some collard that was left in there, some more tomatoes. Look at that. We need to stake this, like today. Another tomato plant in there. I believe that might be a volunteer. I don't remember anymore. Might be, it might not, because I've got tomatoes coming up everywhere. But I didn't want to overcrowd this, because this is a sprouting broccoli down here that I covered. And see, it's growing broccoli. Let me show you. See? That's why I want this plant to come back, because this is off of one of my originals. And we don't want weeds in here, so we take the weeds out. I want that plant to grow because that's one of my original cuttings, and they grow like a bush, and you get all these little side shoots of broccoli all year, and that's what I really, really like. So I'm hoping that will go really good and get big, because I had like 5 or 6 of them through here. They were some seedlings I grew, and they grew for years, and then they finally died back, so I guess their lifespan was like 4 or 5 years. Okay, let's keep walking. Not much here. Geraniums. I haven't even done anything in here. See, this is what I'm saying. The tomatoes come up everywhere and they start growing on their own. And then there's the celery. It went to seed, and that's why we have celery everywhere. I'll show you some more celery. Let's look over here. Look at the tomatoes. Volunteer. This stuff is coming up on its own. It is so full of tomatoes. I mean, I picked a ton of them yesterday for dinner. And they just keep turning red and they keep growing, and then I take all the old leaves off and toss them back. Is that cool? Celery came up on its own. More celery came up on its own. Let me show you the pepino. I've got some pepinos back here. I need to do cuttings off of mine. This one is a ripe, ready to pick pepino, which means you would treat this like a melon. This one will be very sweet. When you pick them when they're white, they're not always sweet, but on this particular plant, they have been sweet, even when you pick them when they're white. So they're all different, and that's a good plant. Let's see what's here. My lemon balm. I had lifted it up, Put it in a bigger pot. It's doing really good. There's some baby walking onions back here. See? Need to get more pots around and keep getting that together. See over here, sweet potato. I was going to pull them all out. I didn't, which is fine. There's like, I pull them out and do what? I'm still trying to plant up so many different gardens. Walking onions, I left those. They're doing good. I need to collect a lot because I had a lot of young walking onion, little sets that I had dropped in here. And little by little, I move them around. This, I told you last month I was going to pull it out and I didn't. It's an old Swiss chard. Look at the size of the trunk. Just grew in there. I've got to get that out. And it's like there's so much, but little by little, I go through my garden and do what I want. Sage, garlic chives, more celery, walking onions. This is all chocolate mint except for the front here with a little bit different leaf. See, the leaf is bumpy. That is strawberry. It smells wonderful as I'm touching it. It smells like strawberries. Tastes terrible. But the chocolate mint is wonderful. See, the chocolate mint has got a darker stem. And then it's a smoother, shinier leaf where this looks very much like the wild mint. And it's bumpy. It's got purple flowers right now. The bees love that. Smells great on my hand, but boy, does it taste bad. Okay, let's turn around. Spearmint growing out of a pot. I've trimmed a lot back. Still haven't really planted too much in here. Red vein sorrel. That's finally this thing is running. Doesn't always run. It seems like every time I do a garden tour, it's not running. Well, there's sun here, but there's not sun on the other side. The water fountain we had found, of course, it's solar now in the trash. Spearmint in the pot. I'm trying to clear some of it from the ground only so I can walk through. The whole idea is now I can get through here. I dropped some walking onions in there. This is a dazzling blue kale that the birds sit on. It's like a tree now. Look at this. I sculptured it. Isn't that gorgeous? It's like a tree, but this one I cut all the way back. See here? I'm hoping you can see this because I really can't see my camera screen. The sun is shining on it. I trimmed the whole thing back and I left this trunk. Now look at the leaves. All I need to do is pick off all the yellow ones, return that back to the soil. Remember, don't throw this stuff away. This all becomes soil. But look how beautiful the leaves are. Look at this. Just by giving it a good trim and just leaving the trunk, it turned into a beautiful, see, it's not connected. It turned into its own beautiful plant, and the birds don't bother that. The goldfinches sit up on top there, they must like it, and then they nibble on all the leaves. Let them have that. But they're not touching this, which is really good. Eggplant. Let's see if I can get in here. This is my old eggplant. Now I've got to get this off today and cook this for dinner. So I got to come back with my cutters. You don't really pull eggplant. You can, but it's got spikes. That one's real big, and there's more down here. I can't get to it, see? So I need to get that off and cooked, but there's 2 other eggplants, and there might be a few little caterpillars or something going on, but we have so many birds coming in. They take care of it. That's why when I come back here looking for the caterpillars, I can't find them because the birds come in, they spot that, and they go, wait a minute. We can feast here, and then they get in there in the pots and they start picking off all the caterpillars. So I rarely find the caterpillars. They get them before me. Purple tree collard, and of course this is my big one. I don't know if this is going to make it this year or not because it's so big and it's kind of tumbled down and it's all over the place. So we'll see what happens with this. See, it wasn't a little pot. Look how big this thing is, and it kind of went up. So it's going this way, and then it's going that way. But my goodness, the cuttings I can get off of this, the problem is I don't have that much place for all this tree collard. So we'll take it one day at a time. I'm leaving it because the leaves are fabulous. See, whether I eat them or compost them, they make the greatest soil. I know a lot of you like comfrey, and comfrey is fine, but you can't really eat it. But with the collard, it's so versatile. It makes the greatest soil as well as eating it and doing what you want with it. You haven't done anything with that yet. That is my strawberry tower. And this I think I'm going to clear out. I think I've had enough with this. The birds have been nibbling and sitting on top. And again, after I started building my new garden, I looked at this area and thought, I really need to do something better with this area. I don't know if I want to put a little pond in here. I don't know if I want to put more containers. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm going to change it up a little. This is the papayas. They'll stay as long as they're producing, and they are. And look at this. I don't know, what is that? 15, 20 feet up. Okay, the reason I'm getting quiet is I haven't looked up lately. I have to look up in life, and I didn't realize it got that tall. I mean, this is like overnight. I don't remember it being that tall. Boy, that's beautiful. I need to spend more time in my garden. It's going to be taller than the moringa, and we cut that thing down and it shot up again. Holy mackerel. He cut this one. I wonder if that's what forced it to go up. Gary trimmed this one because this one we thought was pretty much done. It got really hurt in the winter. Yes, we're growing it in a tote. No, it's a bigger one. It's not the 18-gallon one. It's probably a 30-gallon one. No, it's taken the bottom out. We didn't take the bottom out. We split it a little, but the roots have gone into the ground. So believe you me, the tote is wonderful. It's catching the water. I don't have to water the ground when I water this papaya. I water the tote. Then it leaks out exactly where the roots are. It follows the roots and it feeds the papaya that water, including all the leaves that are in that tote that I continue to throw in. So it's getting a constant compost tea. Think about that. The leaves are being piled in there, so you've got a constant matter of leaves and debris from the garden. You're watering it. The top doesn't break down, but right underneath does. So you got earthworms and everything in there. And then when you water it, the water runs out. And where's it going? The water is following the roots of the plant. How can the plant not do good? That's why it's doing so good. Amazing. Okay. Let's see. Over here, I started to clean up this tote, and right now I only have some garlic chives that I found in a pot. They were kind of dying back, and they were tucked back there. So I dragged the pot over here, took them out of the pot, dropped them in there. I'm going to load the top up with debris from the garden, and then that's it. I'll let it be, and I'll see what I want to plant back here. Might even just use this. I don't need all this seed from this Swiss chard, this kind of green-red Swiss chard. So I'll load a lot of it up there. I might move some of the soil, load it in, and cover what's in there back, and then trim this all back. And this is the only real purple, curly purple kale I've got. I might take some cuttings off of that and get that going too. That's in the other tote. But there's just so much you can do with totes. Totes are my favorite. Absolutely love them. But that's what's going on here. And then, of course, my San Marzano tomatoes. I'm really bad at pronouncing certain things. And they're doing really good. I've actually taken some cuttings from this tomato plant. Look at down there. Oh, we need to stake that up. I didn't see that. It's kind of laid back there, and I see more tomatoes back there. So I've taken some cuttings from this, but you can grow this from seed, and it's self-pollinating. So when you grow from seeds from them, it grows true, which is really exciting and really good. Been pulling out some of the strawberries from my strawberry tower and moving them around because I did not get any new strawberry plants. Generally, you start with fresh new strawberry plants or keep the young ones growing off of yours, or some of them have runners and some of them split. A lot of these are seagates in here, so they're not going to have runners, that type of strawberry, but they split. So you'll end up just pulling it out and having multiple plants that you separate and you plant. So I'm kind of going through this. Again, I didn't go to a nursery. Usually I buy a couple trays of strawberries. So we'll see what happens with that. No hurry, because I'm still working on my other garden. And then I've got a 5-gallon bucket, which is perfect for growing tomatoes. And this is growing here. And let's step out. I'll show you. There probably won't, no, there won't be, because I picked the tomatoes. It's coming across on the other side of the gate. And I did pick all the red ones last night too. So it's doing really good. I like 5-gallon buckets for growing tomatoes in. And then my rosemary. All right, so we've got the rosemary, and then here, I haven't done anything yet. Let me move this out. I don't know if I can move this out of the way. No, I'm not going to bother. I haven't done anything. I put a tote there, and I put some holes on that corner. That's the only holes in this tote. And when I water it, it's going to water right down there. And where's the water going? It has been feeding, even though I just started throwing leaves and stuff into the tote. I haven't planted in it yet. I might put a squash. It's feeding this moringa. And if you can remember from last year, this moringa tree never did anything. I planted this. I think it's pretty much gone now. The moringa was in a cottage cheese container, which, believe you me, is long broke. See? And I've got a system on how I do that, because a lot of moringas don't like being moved. So the pot and all was put there. Or you can start seeds that way too. There's different methods of using cottage cheese containers or different containers, paper cups. And I left it there, but it never did well. And this year, it is taking off, only because I'm watering that tote and slowly throwing, scraps from the garden in there. And it's really, really feeding this moringa really good. So this tree should really, really do good. Let's see, what else is going on here? So we've got the papayas. You've all seen that. Got them here. It sent a shoot off there. We've got the papayas up on top. So they're doing really, really good. We constantly feed them, and I really need to get something planted in all these totes. The problem is I can't even keep up with what we're growing. So I'm in no hurry to plant, but I should plant something that, maybe some of the tomatoes that are coming up everywhere. I don't know. I had tomatoes here last year. So I should plant something. I don't know. But see, we continue to put leaves in there, and as they rot down, and there's holes in there, and the holes are going this way. So when you water that tote, it waters around this pot where this papaya is, and it feeds it. It's a constant, natural compost tea is what it is. The leaves would fall like nature to the ground, cover the ground, and you would be constantly, or I should say, nature would constantly be feeding the plants, because again, it's going to be dry on the top, but it's always going to be damp underneath. Well, we're creating this for all these papayas. Again, like I've said so many times, I would never, if somebody would have said 5-6 years ago, you're going to grow a whole bunch of papayas, I wouldn't even believe it. But it's the constant compost tea, because I've had people say to me they have papaya plants, they will not produce. This is a young one that was dragged out of my yard, and it's already got flowers starting. But again, it's because the roots have left that pot. I don't have to water the ground when I water this papaya plant. I only water the pot. And this tote is watered, this storage container, it's got holes there. And with all those leaves, they will rot, and it comes out of the holes, which is right next to that pot, and it's constantly feeding the plant. That's how we're doing all of them. That's how we're doing this one. That's how we're doing all the papayas that you see here. And you'll see containers all along the bottom. They're heavy feeders. It doesn't have to be horse or cow manure or llama manure or anything. All it has to be is rotting leaves for them. Just like in nature, their fruit. Think of the size of the fruit. That's something to think about. Look at that fruit. Can you imagine in nature what would happen to it? It would fall, smash, rot. Of course, animals would eat it, hang around and poop in the ground too, but the animals would eat it, and all that fruit would be rotting right underneath the plant, and then the leaves would fall and cover it, and it would be making its own fertilizer from its own fruit, the decaying fruit. And of course, a lot of seeds would get spread, and then you'd have more papaya plants growing everywhere. So basically, that is what I'm doing here. But all in all, everything's doing good. We've got a lot of pomegranates in the seedlings that I had planted a couple years ago back there. So we should be getting pomegranates too. And then, of course, you can't even see the elephant food. And there's some more rosemary back there. Let's turn around and let's walk over to the wall. Feels like we've done a circle. We have. See, I started here. See? Have not done anything here. I had plans. I'm still thinking how I want to do it, but we're going to go into so many heat waves that I'm not sure if it's worth it yet. This might be better to think about a winter garden. So I'm not sure yet. Might as well take my time. It's not like we need the food. I want to put some more containers in here. Containers do really good. And any of these wild things you see through here, that's sow thistle. It's wild, and I leave that for the goldfinches. And this is a little moringa, and it's doing really, really good. Gary topped it way down so I can get to the leaves. This is an eggplant, and suddenly it is struggling. It was doing really good growing all these purpley white eggplants, and they fry up really, really good. I'm going to make that, just slice it up on a frying pan with some onions that I'm growing, and it's so good. He loves it with either butter or oil. Some of them are turning yellow, so the plant's got an issue. I'm going to trim it back. I started, compost the leaves, and then maybe rot some colored leaves and pour it in there. That should help. Plus, I need to get some more containers in here. This is amazing. I looked at it yesterday because I was going to pull it out. This beautiful green plant, which is being eaten up by goldfinches, and I'm waiting to see if it's really going to fruit. It has got flowers. Right now they look like they're male flowers. I'm going to leave this. This is unreal. I don't know if I can show you this or not. It's really hard for you to see. This plant is last year's zucchini. It unwound and unwound like a zucchini is supposed to do. And because they don't run, but they'll kind of keep growing fruit and come out and get longer. And it's a slower process than something that runs and takes off like spaghetti squash. I threw it in there. That was going to be the last one I was going to get to. And then I was going to tear the plant out and compost it. And look how green it's gotten. I threw it back in there and it just started to rejuvenate. So I thought, since I don't need to do anything with it, I am going to leave it right now just out of curiosity to see what it's going to do. If that grows any fruit, that plant is from last year. I did not plant anything in this year. I planted in all of these this year, but I planted nothing in this one. So I know, because I know the plant, it's old and it comes out to about here, just kind of wound it back in and dropped it in, and it suddenly started to take off. So we'll see what happens. That's more curiosity to me. That's a geranium I stuck in the front. Trying to get some geraniums in the front of the totes might look really cool. Zucchini, we've been harvesting a lot. And then, of course, I see I have more down here. I got to get these leaves off. They don't do any good for the plant. Just sucks water out of them. Yep, got more zucchini there. This one is probably a kabocha. Oh, there's a zucchini I have to get off. That big, I can slice it up, take the seeds out, make pickles out of it. Or there's anything I can make Jell-O. Wait till you see that. I haven't done that yet. I've been doing it. We've been eating it. I love my zucchini. You can do anything in the world. Anybody that comes back and tells me, oh, you grow so much zucchini, it tastes terrible. If it tastes terrible, you're not using it right. That is a wonderful plant. As far as squash, those are little sweet dumplings, and they might be hybrids of kabochas that you see back there. Those, let me explain something. Dumplings, pumpkin, spaghetti squash, butternut squash, they all have a distinct taste. So if you don't like it, you don't like it. Zucchini does not. Zucchini is a creature of its own. You can do anything you want with zucchini. You can make pies out of it, cakes out of it, dessert out of it. You can have breakfast, lunch, or dinner with zucchini. You can make pickles out of it. You can do anything with zucchini, but you can't always do it with the other ones because they do have a distinct taste. I will have to get this together. I've been trying. I'm not real good at doing, let's say, a cooking segment because I don't measure anything. And so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. I walk into the kitchen. These are all new plants, and we've been harvesting all kinds of squash off of them. And I've got tomatoes growing in there too, and we'll get into that another time. I will be growing more tomatoes this year in these totes. I walk into the kitchen, I look around, see what I've got. I come out here, pick something, and make something. My daughter came over the other day. Why aren't you cooking? Where? On your YouTube channel. Because I don't know how to tell people to cook when I don't have recipes. Yeah, but she said, you cook so different. People would love it, she keeps telling me. The idea that you can walk into a kitchen, look in a cupboard, see what you've got, and go for it. You've cooked your whole life, my daughter was telling me that way. Why are you not showing people you don't have to worry about recipes? This is basically what they're doing now, her and her husband. They just cook, go in the yard, pull something in, and just make whatever they feel like making. So I am going to get a lot of cooking segments together on what we're doing with all this in the garden because, like I said, I can do 10 quick zucchinis right off the top of my head, which is anything from a dinner type meal all the way to a dessert. Not just zucchini bread, all kinds of stuff. So I do plan on doing it, trying to figure out how to present it. That's the word I was looking for, how to present it to you so you would be able to take the idea. It's kind of like the way I do my crafts. Let's walk over here. Take the idea and run with it. That's what I want. So you could look at it and go, I can do that, but I don't like that, what she added in, but I'll add something else in. That's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. And plus, how to clean up my kitchen a little bit better. And so I could get a camera in there and figure out how I'm going to do it. But I'm doing it. I'm coming along. My chair garden. My cherished garden. Chair. C-H-A-I-R-E-S-T. I love this garden. I don't know how I'm going to garden in all my other gardens. The only garden I absolutely love right now is, of course, the one with the birds, with the fountains and everything. And I'm probably going to get a fountain in here too. But I've got hummingbirds coming in here. This is all new and it is taking off great. I really don't want to do a garden tour in here because I want to go separate on this. But this has been amazing. Look, you saw me just plant this. I've already got zucchini growing in here. This came out of Gary's garden. He wasn't using it, so I brought it here. And I don't remember putting a zucchini squash seed in there, so I don't know if it came up from the compost, but I did plant the tomatoes. So I just laid it on there right now. And then I've made my own sun sails, which I'll get together exactly how I did it. I bought this thing for $23 and I'm not thrilled about, so it's okay. I'm going to take it off. Gary's going to move it for me. And I'm going to make my own because I happen to really like the way I made those for nothing. And I'll show that another time. This is amazing. Look at this. You're with me right now in my chair garden. And you don't have to put them on chairs. You could do the same setup without chairs if you don't have critters. This would keep off ants and snails and slugs. You can work with this. Let's put it that way. If you get slugs on there, there's ways to get rid of them. You get ants on here, there's ways to get rid of them. Somebody told me that this is fantastic. They're setting it up in their yard because their dog chases around squirrels. And now they had to get the dog out of the garden because the dog was peeing in the garden and all this stuff. Now the dog can chase the squirrels all over and they have their garden. Everybody's out of the garden. You can do anything with this garden. I am so crazy about this. The shape, the design, the chairs are beautiful. And some of you have said, well, what do you do with the chairs? How long do they last? This one I just painted. You saw it done live. I painted that basically almost live. The orange one, see it's scuffed up. You know why it's scuffed up? Because we stacked them after the parties. That chair was painted probably over 10 years ago. Same thing with the yellow, over 10 years ago. I'm looking at all these. That one's not painted. That one that's actually a broken chair. The seat broke out of it and Gary threw the first one away. I think 2. And had I thought about it, the stability of the chair is still so good that I'm using it for a tote. You just can't sit on it because the center of the seat broke out. But the chair is fine. That one wasn't painted. I bought that chair almost 30 years ago. Actually, no, the store I bought it in, Gary went and picked it up for me. And look how old that chair is, almost 30 years ago. A lot of these chairs are over 20 years old. Then let's see, newer. Maybe this one was painted. See, again, the reason they scrape off a little bit is because we would stack them after a party. We would take them out and put them out all over. Everybody'd sit on them. And then we would stack them. So the legs would scrape on them. And if you don't stack them, you're not going to have that problem. And keep the paint. If you really are that particular, just do a touch-up on it. But the paint holds on chairs, especially when the chairs were old. And this is a garden tour, not a chair tour. So we'll finish this up because I know a lot of you are screaming, saying, I don't care. And I'll say, you're right. We'll come back to that. All right, my trees. I'm going to get some more trees in here. There's that nectarine tree, the avocado tree that came up out of the wood chips. But let's see, I planted that one, losing track of time. I think early this year. And then these are apple trees that grew from seed. I know I'm not going to get apples. What am I supposed to do with them? Chop them down? Here's another one I took off my deck. I'm going to plant just seeds that got in there. So I figured, you know what? I don't care. If I become good at grafting, I can graft on if the tree makes it. So this is just from seeds. I'll plant that in there. It's in a pot. And then this is the truck bed, and it's loaded with squash. That's what I'm saying. There's no hurry. There's no hurry on what I have to do. Look at Becky. Oh my gosh. I didn't do this container yet. What am I going to do? I don't need any more squash right now. I have the green Swiss chard and some green and red Swiss chard coming up because the seeds were left in here. That's all. But we've got squash all through here. This is Korean melon. I did plant this and I hope it makes it because that is a fabulous melon. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to take off and run. I have a little Korean melon. We tend to get Korean melons, let's see, in the middle to late summer. So that will be exciting. More Korean melons. I planted a whole bunch. And then, of course, like I showed you, the rest is all different types of squash I put in there. And here's that seedling. Here's that seedling I planted of a pomegranate. I just stuck there, and it rarely gets water. I should start watering it. All right, and then there's some more squash there. Oh my gosh. Tell me it's not spaghetti squash. You know, I think that was supposed to be delicata. I either mixed up my seeds or it was a hybrid, but we've got more squash. And then the bathtub that Gary's been working on. Let's see over here real quick. He's going to put another pond here. He's so excited with his ponds. So he's going to put another pond here. And he was going to use those pools, and here is the mistake he did. He didn't know, he didn't think about it. He had these pools sitting in the yard, empty. They've been here for a couple years, I think. I can't remember exactly how long, and they've got slight cracks. Perfect to plant in. He's going to put them somewhere and plant in them, but he can't put water in them. All these plastic containers, be it your swimming pools or your totes, they will last for many, many years as long as there's soil in there and you're treating it like a plant. The plastic will stay soft, it will flex. I like the totes that are flexible, by the way, not the ones that you tap on that are hard plastic. I've got a whole video on that. They will last. I've got them in my garden now, 5 years old. I think I threw one tote away that really broke up, but I found it in the trash and it already was splitting when I found it and planted in it. Otherwise, anything I've ever bought, they're all still going strong. If you take any of these totes and you sit them in the middle of your yard or in a place that they're in the sun empty, they will dry up, just like your skin. They will dry up and they will crack. But if you treat them like where they've got soil in there, and even if you don't have any plants and you water them, they'll last for many, many years. Just like a pool liner, or I should say a pond liner. You take a pond liner, those plastic ones, lay them in the middle of the yard and let them dry out, they'll crack too. Put water in it, they'll go for many, many years, 10 years. So keep that in mind. It is the way you treat it. And then, of course, here is a tomato plant back there, and this is the swimming pool. Almost, for the birds it is. We've had the hawks swimming in here and all the goldfinches, and it is very green because it's going through an algae bloom, and that's by nature. It's going to set up, but there's fish in there, so we have no mosquitoes. The fish are doing a great job. There's actually like hundreds of little fish in there. And this is doing really good. Let's see if we can get this thing to go, but I don't think we have enough sun. You take your hand and you wipe it over. Yep, see? You just wipe it. It's almost like you're turning it back on. A little bee just left. And that's it. And this one is the bigger one, which you've seen. And I've got to get the new setup on this. I haven't done it yet. I've got a backup battery for that. And I need to get in there, open the box, read what I have to do, which is probably nothing, and get that on and show you what I did. So that's it. Everything else is going great. Haven't seen any deer lately. That tomato plant down there is still there and it's doing good. And I didn't plant it, but it's slowly disappearing. But there's tomatoes on it. So everything is doing okay. Got a lot more videos to do. And there's the hawk. Look at that. Hawks everywhere. That's a baby redtail who has driven off all the Cooper hawks around here. So I haven't seen the baby Cooper hawks for a while. I think I saw one a couple days ago. So they've kind of all found their own territory. So I think with that, I've talked your ear off. I've gone through everything. Gonna try to get some videos up on things that are important, I think, for you guys, like sun sails and all that, because we are all in hot weather and there's so many ways of doing it better than that. So with that, have a wonderful day. I'm leaving. These fruit beetles are flying all over. I don't like them. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh, I love this garden. I love this garden. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. Now I'm done with the garden tour. And now I've got sun. Let's see if it'll work. Nothing. Let's see if I can pull the camera back. Watch. Magic, 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 magic. Wipe your hand over it. Ta-da! It's kind of like sometimes when it goes off, it forgets to go on its own. So you just have to tap it. Not always, or it might take longer, but that's the way to do it fast. You could use a little cleaning too. I'll hose it off later. Look at that. And here come the happy bees. Ooh, water.